Deputy Governor and TDOT Commissioner Butch Eley on Thursday provided members of the Bristol Metropolitan Planning Organization with a brief overview of the proposed Tennessee Modernization Plan that is designed to relieve traffic congestion in the state's urban areas and free up funding for transportation projects in rural regions of the state. Under this plan, private sector partners would fund choice lanes on congested highways which motorists could pay a small fee to use.
You know, when you think about transportation in Tennessee, we really are at a critical juncture, and so transportation is one of those government services that impacts every single citizen in Tennessee, and so the governor takes that seriously, and so what we're trying to do, we know that we're a little behind the curve as it relates to what we really need to be able to continue to advance, create the jobs, and create the opportunities we have in Tennessee. And so the governor has proposed kind of a three-point plan. One would be getting the authority from the legislature to do public-private partnerships, which would allow us to do choice lanes, which are new lanes, additional lanes that people could choose to get into in some of our urban areas primarily, that would allow them to pay a small fee and be able to get to where they're going in a reliable amount of time. Right now, we don't have the funds to do all of the new construction that we need to do to address that congestion. And so by being able to do that, the big idea here is that would allow us to then take those funds, reallocate them, and utilize that in our rural areas. We know that we've got a lot of old interstates that are the same alignment of two lanes that have been there since we built them back in the 70s. And so we know Tennesseans need to be able to get more expansion on those interstates, and this is a way for us to do that. And so that's one of the primary things of this legislation. The second thing is in delivery. Right now, we are limited in how many alternative delivery kinds of projects we can do annually, and that's just a little bit of an internal thing as it relates to Tennessee Department of Transportation, but it's worked really well where we have piloted it and tried it. So we want to be able to do more of it, because the average time now to deliver a project in Tennessee is about 15 years from a transportation standpoint. And so what we want to do is reduce that, and we feel like we've got the tools, if we get this done, to be able to do that. And then the third thing has to do with electric vehicle and how that impacts our funding in the state. We know that currently the gas tax that people pay now is going to be unsustainable in the long term, because it's just not going to generate the funds that we need. We're down now in the state of Tennessee from our gas tax year over year. And so what this would do is generate parity between electric vehicles and gas vehicles. And so when a person goes and puts in gas in their tank in Tennessee, they pay about $274 annually in gas tax in the state and federal government that we get in order to invest back in our roads. And right now, the electric vehicle pays $100 registration fee, and so we're looking at being able to get those simply on parity, no more, no less, so that everybody is kind of contributing the same thing to our roads. And those are the three major components, and we're excited about where we are with the legislature. We're communicating, working with them closely now, and very hopeful that we're going to be able to get this accomplished for Tennessee. A lot of people are familiar with what I'll call the traditional toll road, where to be able to get in it, you had to pay a fee at a booth to be able to get in it, or when you left it, and every road, every lane on that road was tolled. This is very different in that we're keeping all of the regular lanes that we have now, and we would be building additional capacity on the road that a person would be able to choose on a daily basis. If they weren't in a hurry, didn't need to get to pick up their child care, then they could stay in the regular lane. But if they chose to and were in a hurry and they needed to know that they could get to where they were going at a certain time frame, then they would be able to get into this choice lane and pay a small fee to be able to do that. And so that's the major difference between the choice lane and the regular toll road. We have done our work really more with the other states. So Virginia, our neighbors here, have done a number of these kinds of roads. And it's worked out really well from Virginia, Texas, Florida. A number of states are doing this, and so we know that there is a market out there. We know that there's private sector investment that is interested in doing this, and these would work as long-term leases. So we're never selling any of our assets, any of our roads in Tennessee. We're keeping the ownership and just leasing that out in a long-term fashion.
For more information about the Transportation Modernization Plan, please visit www.tn.gov/TDOT.